It's time for Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem Weeks, author, producer, and marketing monster for independent multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
Greetings and happy Thursday, everybody. We are back live with a Thursday night special episode of the Voice of Indie podcast. This is due to technical difficulties. This is listed as episode 208B. So we're trying to get caught up on falling behind on guests because of the technical difficulties. But we're glad to have you all here tonight listening to the show. We're going to have a good time tonight. We got somewhere on the road tonight, Stephen Gies. How you doing tonight, Stephen? And where are you at?
I'm doing great. I'm Bessemer, Alabama, Helena, Alabama, something like that. I'm about 45 minutes southwest of Birmingham, sitting in my car doing a podcast co-hosting from the car. It's kind of disorienting, because I'm not used to doing it from the car. Kind of disorienting because I'm not used to Blog Talk Radio working.
Yeah. Well, they were down all day yesterday. We had a rerun last night, and that didn't go off because Blog Talk Radio was down, but they were down for a good reason. They had their engineers going through it to try to figure out what the problem was. So they were offline and doing maintenance, and it looks like they might have gotten it taken care of. Let's hope they did.
Yeah. So we've had some good news this week. One of our authors, Dr. Janice D. Toney, who is author of the illustrated chapter book called Daddy Yo-Yo and the Legendary Marble Tournament, which is about bullying. She was notified this week she has won the Purple Dragonfly Award for her book, The Purple Dragonfly. That's a very prestigious children's book award. And they were so excited about it, they called her personally to tell her about it. So we're all proud of it. Congratulations, Dr. Toney. That's Daddy Yo-Yo and the Legendary Marble Tournament, now recipient of the Purple Dragonfly Award.
Hey, big congratulations, Dr. Janice Toney. All right, well done. Well deserved. Yeah. Also, out now is I Remember Judy by tonight's guest, Verwayne Greenhoe. He's republished this through a Fresh Ink Group, and it's got a new cover, and it's looking sharp. So I Remember Judy is out now. And if you wanted to call in with a question or comment for Verwayne, here's how you can do that.
Call 516-453-9902 right now with your questions or comments for tonight's guest, or post a note on Twitter with hashtag Fresh Ink Group in the body of the tweet, and we'll read it on air. That's 516-453-9902 or hashtag Fresh Ink Group on Twitter.
Be there.
Yeah. Cool. So let's toss around some titles and talk about what's out from Fresh Ink Group. We've been touting this for the past month or so now. The audio book from Cheryl Carpinello's Young Knights of the Round Table series book called The King's Ransom. That is out now. That's narrated by movie star Ethan Drew. It's got music, sound effects, everything but scratch and sniff. This is aimed at middle schoolers, and Cheryl really puts a lot of emphasis on the kind of stories and action that middle school boys might be attracted to, especially since that's a group that traditionally kind of loses interest in reading. Many of them do. So that's the audio book from the Young Knights of the Round Table series, A King's Ransom by Cheryl Carpinello, and narrated by movie star Ethan Drew, out now.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun putting that together. Robert G. Williscroft's Ran, A Civilization in Hiding, the Fourth Orc Chronicle is coming soon, and I've been working on the audio book for that, and that'll be coming soon too. I think I got one chapter left, and also the epilogue, and then it's done. So keep your eyes.
I'm not sure why that says coming soon, because that's been out for 3 weeks now.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, I just read what's put in front of me. Scratch is coming soon. It's out now, so
I don't know why it says coming soon. That one's out.
All right.
Also, we've got Sunrise Over the Pumpkin Patch by Carlisle Thoms is coming soon. He's the author of Edge of Smoke and The Calling Dream, both of which are out now. Sunrise Over the Pumpkin Patch, we're looking to have that out in probably less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Also out now is Nell Cooper's Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow. That is out now. This is I reviewed the book, so go over to my blog. That's beamweeks.wordpress.com, or just go to beamweeks.com, and the blog's there on the front page. It's a fantastic book. It's young love, coming of age. The situation for these two, this boy and girl, it's not the perfect situation. They're both in the state home in Michigan, and something happens, and the girl splits, runs away from the home, and then the boy, he's got to go find her, and will they reconnect? They're meant to be together, so he's got to try to track his girl down. And I'll tell you what, it was like I said, it's a wonderful love story. It's not a romance, and it's not a typical kind of like that, but it's a feel-good story once you get to the end there. So Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow.
For historical fiction, it's very authentic, too. She did a lot of research and made sure everything was just right on. All right, we've also got a illustrated book for children out by Michael Filippello. He did both the paintings and the text for this, Miratambo Moon Song by Michael Filippello, out now, aimed squarely at children. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, and it's starting to take off.
Yeah, and Pandemonium in Puzzle Town by B.A. Johnson is out now. She is the author of the Sassy series. Sassy discovers the AME Church, and Sassy discovers, what's the guy's name? Peter
Allen?
Peter Allen's secret. These are aimed towards the younger readers, middle school maybe, and a little bit younger than that as well. But even the high school kids can read these and really enjoy them. So Pandemonium in Puzzle Town by B.A. Johnson is out now.
Got another one that's been out for a couple of weeks now, Mr. President, I've Got Your Back, and that's by Abigail H. Ugini and Mary L. Smalls, both of whom are former First Ladies of South Carolina State University. And this is a book about the First Ladies of South Carolina State University all the way back to the college's inception. What a historical and important role they played in helping shape student life in the university and its future in supporting their husbands, who were presidents of the university at the time. Abigail Ugini is also the author of There Must Be Something in the Water, which is looking at the descendants of slaves, emancipated slaves, from Green Pond, South Carolina, or the Low Country out there by the ocean. And that's a historical book which is full of inspirational stories of people who grew up there in virtual poverty and then went on to accomplish big, important things. So, Mr. President, I've Got Your Back by Abigail H. Ugini and Mary L. Smalls is out now.
All right. Hey, guess what? We've got a newsletter, and in this newsletter, you get it every Wednesday morning. It'll tell you who's on the Voice of Indie podcast that evening. It'll give you the link to the show, but it'll also tell you what books we've got coming out, book trailers that are out, interesting excerpts from authors with their latest work in there, and just all kinds of really cool stuff. And it's about a 20-minute read. It's not going to take you all morning to go through it. So if you are not subscribed to it, here's how you can do that.
Stay on top of these podcasts and all things Fresh Ink Group with our weekly digital newsletter, new releases, videos, stories, excerpts, interviews, and more. Sign up now on the homepage of freshinkgroup.com and be the one who knows what's what.
What? It's official.
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the top 25 print bestsellers from Fresh Ink Group. I can't see whether these are hardcovers or softcovers because I had to pre-print these since I'm sitting in my car. But I can see the titles and I know who the authors are. So at number 25, My Three Wishes, Memoir of a Hawaiian Dancer Whose Family Troupe Traveled the World, and that's by Kanoi Kay. She's a Hawaiian who, as the title says, traveled the world with her family, performing with a dance troupe. And she tells all the stories in her My Three Wishes, Memoir of a Hawaiian Dancer. At number 24, Maximizing Happiness Through Intimate Communication, 3rd edition. And this is by the Dr. Shearer. Now, Marshall L. Shearer, he died about 4 or 5 years ago. And he worked on these with his wife, Dr. Marguerite R. Shearer. They're both MDs. And they put out 3 books that we published, plus another book that they had previously published as well. We just lost her about a month ago too. So in posterity, we are continuing to promote and keep these books alive long after we've lost our authors. And this one is a great one for couples, young couples, old couples, anybody who's trying to find ways to make their relationship better and to improve their communication. This is Maximizing Happiness Through Intimate Communication by the Doctors Shearer. The next 2, 22 and 23, Maritambo Moonsong by Michael Filippello. So that's the hardcover and the softcover. Congratulations, Michael. Above you, the next 2, Pandemonium and Puzzle Town, hardcover and softcover by B.A. Johnson. So both of those are selling equally well in both formats. Above that, at number 19, The Nurses of the Creek, Book 1 by Anna Morgan. That's the first of her Nurses of the Creek series about 2 teenage girls growing up during World War II Germany who want to be nurses. Number 18, Sassy Discovers the AME Church by B.A. Johnson. That's the first of her 2 Sassy books that Beem just mentioned a minute ago. And then above that, at 17, A Light in the Darkness, Words and Poems of Encouragement. And this is by Tina Reist. What's this one about, Beem?
It's poems and words of encouragement. These are letters and poems that Tina, she attends my church, and she's a special needs person, and she lives in a care home, care facility. But she wanted to, she writes letters and poems to people and just as words of encouragement, and she wanted to put them together in a book, and she knew that I worked with Fresh Ink Group, and so we took it on, and she's pleased with the book. She really is. She's proud of it.
And it's performing very well.
Yes, it is.
Next, at number 16, The Soul Whisperer's Decision by Gwen M. Plano. Gwen Plano, this one's a thriller, and it's kind of a Sophie's Choice kind of a suspense thriller as well. You're going to want to check that out. Above that, we've got 2 more of the food truck books, and then we're back to Gwen Plano again. So let me jump to 13 and say we've also got Gwen Plano's Letting Go into Perfect Love, Discovering the Extraordinary After Abuse. This is a true memoir about what she went through and how she learned to rise above a very bad situation and move on with her life in very positive ways. And she wrote about it. She shares that with others. So between those, How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Florida, and above that, How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Tennessee. Those are both by A.K. Winkler. Now, above those, in the 11 and 12 slot, again, we've got a pair. Operation Counterpunch, hardcover and softcover, back-to-back, both selling equally well in the 11 and 12 slots. And that's by Mark Marlowe. That's a suspense thriller as well. Above that, again, we're doubling up. Operation Ivy Bells, a Mac McDowell mission in the 9 and 10 slots, both hardcover and softcover, both selling equally well. Number 8, Into Autumn, A Story of Survival by Larry Landgraf. That's one of 4 of his dystopian thrillers, each named after a season. Number 7, A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sykes. This has been out for about a month now. Does that sound right, Beem?
Yeah, about that.
The first book in her Bargainers series, and she just announced this week that she's about ready to get put together the second book, A Noble Bargain, in that series. So we're looking forward to that. That brings us to number 6, The High Road, Memories from a Long Trip by Country Music Hall of Fame drummer Mark Herndon. This is a perpetual bestseller on our list. It's always up here somewhere. This week it's number 6. That brings us to our top 5. In the number 5 slot, and in the number 2 slot, Mr. President, I've Got Your Back, the First Ladies of South Carolina State University. And that's by Eugenia Smalls. In between those, in the 3 and 4 slots, Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow, hardcover and softcover, both selling equally well. That seems to be the weird thing this week, is everything seems to be equal, hardcover and softcover. And that gets us to number 1. What's our number 1 bestseller? Submariner, 30 Years of Hijinks and Keeping the Fleet Afloat by retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Jerry Page. Congratulations, Jerry. You've got the number 1 print book this week.
All right. Congratulations, Jerry. Another out now is A Beggar's Bargain, book 1 of the Bargainers series by Jan Sykes. And Jan is hard at work on book 2. A Noble Bargain. That's in the works, so keep your eyes and ears on the newsletter, and you'll find out when that's going to be out, and listen to the show, and you'll find out. Other books that we have in the works, Journey Through the Lens, Creative Guide to Nature Photography by Angie Birmingham, who also is writing the intro for Trains of Alabama, a photo history book by Braden Dexter Green. And so, Stephen, you had a meeting with Angie and Braden?
Yeah, Braden's in Alabama. Angie's in Texas. She lives in Texas, but she had traveled to the East Coast with her friend, and on the way back, they came through Alabama and stopped and visited. We got to hang out for a while, sit out on the deck, check out some of the birds flying over the water and stuff like that, and then she got to sit down and meet Braden, who's doing the photo book. He's actually doing 2 photo books. He's doing one on decrepit buildings in Alabama as well. And he's been studying her material, and she's been following him closely, and the two of them swapped advice and looked at each other's pictures and just had a good old time. And she got very enthusiastic about him and his projects and offered to write the introduction for his book. So I've already received that back from her. Thank you, Angie Birmingham. So we're getting these 2 books put together, and we're hoping both of them will be out within a month.
All right. Listeners, if you've listened long enough and you've got a favorite episode and you want to revisit it, or if you've missed an episode and you want to find that in our archives, well, here's how you can find our archive.
Find your favorite show in the Voice of Indie archives on YouTube at Fresh Ink Group, StephenG's.com, BeamWeeks.com, FreshInkGroup.com, and on Spotify. And now you can listen on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn. Just search The Voice of Indie, all one word.
In 1948, 8-year-old Kay is at Oakdale, the Lapeer State Home in Michigan, where people of all ages with physical and mental aberrations come to live. Kay wonders why she is here and if she will ever leave. She cares for an infant who will not let anyone else feed her, and she has friends, especially a boy her age she calls Toe. When Kay and Toe grow close as teens, she discovers the home has scheduled surgery that will change her life. With the clothes she's wearing and the file containing her life story, Kay flees late one dark night. Toe tries to chase after her, but a fateful accident robs him of the chance to seek the love of his life. Will Kay ever experience the kind of family she has longed for? Published in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook editions by Fresh Ink Group, Nell Cooper's Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow is a historically accurate coming-of-age story about identity, belonging, and learning to choose one's own destiny. Read Nell Cooper's Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow.
Submariner, 30 years of hijinks and keeping the fleet afloat. Jerry Pate's semi-autobiographical collection of 60 stories recounts his 30 years in and around the U.S. Navy submarine fleet, ranging from lighthearted to wrenching. All are poignant inside looks at naval operations rarely seen by outsiders. Topics include the real story behind the shuttle Challenger tragedy, risking his own life underwater, discovering a Soviet spy living across the street, surviving when an engine ignites, critical missions, and the everyday lives of men and women of the fleet. Compiled by author Robert G. Williscroft and proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. Submariner is available worldwide in hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Dive into Submariner for hijinks and breathtaking adventure with this poignant memoir by a true American hero.
All right.
Our number 1 print bestseller this week by Jerry Pate.
That's one of those perennial number ones.
Yeah. Born and raised on a small dairy farm in west central Michigan, Verwayne Greenhoe learned about life and death at an early age. He was lucky enough to have a loving, caring father who taught him a lot. He became a medic, worked in a prison psych ward, and spent many years in emergency rooms as an aide and then a nurse. These experiences gave him both the background and insight to write about many things. He publishes print, digital, and audio books. He has battled serious health issues, including Parkinson's, but he always finds a way to keep sharing his stories with the world. Welcome to the show, Verwayne.
Welcome, Verwayne.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So, how we know where you're from and all that, but how are you doing right now?
I'm doing better. Well, if you see that picture there, I don't normally wander around with a bald head like that, but they cut all my hair off so that they could make sure that they were getting. I was having big blotches of cancer on my head. I've got a dollar-sized hole behind my left ear that was about half an inch deep, where they cut out a great big tumor. And, these things, to me, attitude is everything.
I agree.
If you can put up with it, good for you. I mean, you're 3 steps ahead of everybody else. So I never quit.
So your prognosis is good, treatments are going well, everything's good?
Yes. Well, they're ready to. Right now, they're saying I only have maybe 4 more. And they're going to begin to wind everything down. But I'm standing up and the cancer is backing away. So I think I've scared it.
Yeah, good.
And,
all right.
The wife has been here with me and couldn't ask for more support than that.
And where is here? Still in Florida?
Yes, I'm in Madison, Florida, which is about 6 miles from the Georgia state line. I can be in Valdosta in about 30 minutes.
So are you from Florida originally or from somewhere else?
I'm originally from a small town just to the northwest of Lansing there. You know where Ionia is?
Yeah.
I lived in Sheridan, which was about 30 miles north of Ionia. That's where I was born and raised on farm. And I first came down to Florida when back in 2006 big hospitals began to buy up little hospitals and then close down all the emergency rooms and the OB stuff and just make it basically a fancy med center where you can come in and stay there for a little bit and go home. But I began to my wife had been at that point in time for like 36 years, and they wanted to put her into ICU, and she's going, ain't no way that's happening. So I found a nurse recruiter, and they had a job for her in Florida. So she quit, and we headed to Florida. First time we came down here was Port St. Lucie, down on the East Coast, about 90 minutes north of Miami. And then we would change positions every 90 days.
So what pushed you into or drew you to healthcare, doing the healthcare as a career?
Since I was little, my dad used to call me Doc because I was always interested in medicine. On the farm, we had 155, 160 cows, and you almost always had a vet out there. You got something going on. You got cows, you got pigs, you got horses. You had a vet out there at least once a week. And I just began to watch him, and that made me interested. And I just became one of the very first paramedics in the state of Michigan in 1972. And I did that for 12 years. In between, while I was getting my training, I worked at the psych ward there in Ionia at Riverside, and got my skull fractured for free there. So got attacked by some dude. And, at that point, that was in September of 1981, and at that point in time, they really didn't understand post-traumatic stress syndrome. And they didn't understand what was going wrong with me. But for about 5 years, I kind of wandered out in the wilderness there, doing my own thing. And fortunately, my wife, God bless Judy, she stayed with me when even my father was telling her, if you think you need to divorce him, I would understand that. But she stayed with me. She brought me back, and I owed her everything. For very few women would have stayed with me. I never hurt her. But I was very loud and aggressive. And that's not me. I'm normally quiet, sedate, and but without her staying with me and sticking it out, I don't know where my life would have went. But she stayed with me, and I've recovered. I'm doing better than ever now. So.
Well, that's great news, definitely. So you're from Michigan.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Central Montcalm High School, which is there in Stanton, Michigan. Then I went to Montcalm Community College, which is in the metropolis of Sidney, Michigan, population 319. But then I went to the University of Michigan, and I have a bachelor's in psychology and biology. So
Go Blue.
Keeps me off. Amen. Keeps me off the streets. You know. So, but I enjoyed going to school. I enjoyed being a paramedic. When I first became a paramedic, your ambulance drivers were the people who ran the funeral homes.
Oh wow!
And they were coming out.
That's not a good sign.
They did deal. No, but that's how that stuff was until 1971, 72. I became one of the first 500 paramedics in the entire state of Michigan at that point in time, and we changed the way that emergency medicine was done. So we put up with a lot of guff from a lot of doctors who weren't used to us doing the work out there. First time I ever brought a patient in with an IV running, they're going, "Who did this?" I'm going, "I did." I'm going, "How?" Well, you should be reading the newspaper and figure out what we're doing. So, but it was, it was a brand new thing. But as late as 1972, funeral home directors were running ambulances. Get them and or grab them and go type thing. So, but we changed all that.
A historical writer would need to know that kind of detail when telling that story.
Yeah. There's an idea.
So right now I have a mockingbird sitting on my rear view mirror looking at me. I think it's asking what's the phone number because it wants to call in. What is the phone number, Beem?
The phone number, and this is for anybody, not just mockingbirds, 516-453-9902. That's 516-453-9902. Give us a call and ask a question or just give us a comment. Now, Verwayne, you had touched on a little bit of your family history with your father, growing up on a dairy farm and having all the cows and whatnot. Tell us a little bit more about your family, your current wife. You got children?
Judy and I had 2 children. I was the oldest of 6 kids. And
okay.
My oldest sister and my oldest brother both passed away. But I have a sister, Kim, a brother, Jerry, and a brother, Larry. Jerry spends winters down here with me. He's got a little retired travel trailer that sits out here in my yard, and it's hooked up, and we've got it all permanently mounted and all that stuff. And I was 15 when I left home, and Jerry was like 8. And once I got out of the house, I was gone. Because I was busy and doing things, it wasn't that I had a family issue, just I was always off. But now that Jerry's down here, he gets here mid-October and leaves in mid-April. And Jerry and I have hit it off huge, but we've never really been together since I left home. And it's been a good time down here. We were living in the Upper Peninsula, and I got tired of going 10, 12, 15 days with the high was -7.
Yeah, that's some rough country up there. Now,
I still got
you mentioned 2 children. Do they come and visit you down there? Boy, girl?
Not down here yet. Yeah. Oh, my daughter was born in 1978. Now everybody's gone into the medical field. My wife was a nurse. I was a paramedic nurse. My oldest daughter is a nurse. She works there someplace in Lansing, as far as I know. Last I knew, she worked at Sparrow. My son went into the
Sparrow
military.
Is not really Sparrow anymore. Sparrow is U of M now. U of M bought Sparrow.
Okay. Did not know that, but that tells you how long since I've been down here.
That's pretty recent. I go to church with one of the guys that's the head of the heating and air conditioning maintenance team there, and he says they're changing all of the signs over now.
Okay. But my son was a paramedic in Afghanistan, and he ended up getting several medals for bravery above and beyond. And I asked him about it, and I said, "How'd you?" He says, "Because I was stupid and I followed what you did." In my job as a medic, I was shot twice, stabbed once, and had my skull fractured. So that's what happens when you deal with people high on PCP. So, but that makes life interesting, you know?
Yeah. Well, you pulled through and you survived it, so.
Stronger
you
for
got
it.
that going for you.
Yep. But my son he is now also an RN, so the whole family is medical. So we just kind of had it in the blood and had a good time with it.
So nobody's doing the college.
Until at the family reunion, he gets swarmed.
Yep. But it was an interest. I'll be in about 3 weeks. I'll be 71. I remember Judy, because as she was beginning to drift away on me, she would ask me, what did I do? Was I a good person? And everything. And then she'd say, I can't remember. And I would hold her hand. I would tell her, I remember, Judy. And then I would tell her about the things that she had done, because she was an exceptional nurse, an exceptional mother, and very courageous to have married me. But we were together for like 46 years. And I wrote that book, I Remember Judy. I finished it in March of 2018, and she left me in the middle of April 2018. But she had a chance to read the book before she left. So she was very happy with it. So.
And that was your first edition, and then you published that yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the second edition that Fresh Ink Group just put out for you, that's been updated, all new cover, everything's so it's the same story, but it's just been updated and tightened up.
Right. Or tightened up is the big. I started out, when I did the rewrite, I started out with 86,000 words and ended up with just shy of 80, around 83,000. I clipped 4,000 or 5,000 words out of it that didn't need to be there.
Cool.
So,
all right, well, we're going to go ahead and play the trailer now, introduce this book to everybody, and then we want you to tell us in greater detail what this book is about,
no, we're not.
About what it means to you.
No, we're not.
No, we don't have it.
We don't have it. You haven't recorded the voiceover yet. We do have the one for I Hate My Mother.
Well, let's hold on that for a minute. Just go ahead and tell us tell us more about this, the story behind it, Verwayne, and what made you want to go ahead and do a second edition, and what can we expect from this book?
Well, it's basically, the story centers around me, because I always told people, when Judy was at, that personality of her at work was Judy Super Nurse. I worked at ER, and one night we had an OB doctor come running through the ER, and he stopped and he came back and he says, "Is your wife working OB tonight?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Thank God." He says, "When things begin to go bad in the delivery room," he says, "I want to look across that table and see your wife there." He says, "She's just ice cold." She says she sticks with it no matter what goes on. And that was true. When Judy was at work, she was an iron woman, and she did her job. When she was, then she became quiet Judy. At home, she was perfectly content to let me do all the things, and we always had a wonderful life together. Honest to God, we never had a huge argument about anything. Because one of the things my dad, the day I got married, I went to see my dad before the wedding, and he told me, he says, "It doesn't take a genius to see that you've got a once-in-a-lifetime woman there." He says, "If she wants to argue with you about something, admit that you're wrong and do it her way."
So, there you go.
And that's exactly how I lived my life. If Judy began to disagree with me, she was uptight, and this is the way we're going to do it. I remembered what my father said, and I did it her way. And generally, she was right.
There you go.
And we were all over. We were all over as a traveling nurse. I was a paramedic, and then I became a nurse, RN, worked in the ER for 29 years, and Biddy hated the ER, so that we had to. And I delivered, as a paramedic, I delivered 34 babies.
Wow.
And my very first one, I'm sure you know where Greenville, Michigan is.
I do.
35 miles north of Grand Rapids. There used to be a drive-in theater. On the 4th of July, 1973, we got a call about a woman in labor, and I get in there, and we're there in the concession stand, and this woman is having her 10th baby. That was kind of
the night?
Playing. I was beginning to think, and I later asked her, I said, "You've had, this is your 10th baby. Why were you at the? We wanted to see the fireworks. They always did fireworks on the 4th of July there at the drive-in. But we're right there in the concession stand. I didn't have a time to turn her or do anything. But they got the big concession stand window right out behind me here, and I'm delivering a baby with about 400 people standing behind me. So,
wow.
But I've delivered a lot of other babies, and I delivered both our own children.
Wow. Well,
we did them both at the hospital, but
you can tell us
back
that
then
story.
You had 400. You had 400 people watching you. Now it would be 400 people with their camera phones.
Phones out, yeah.
Exactly.
But you can tell us more on that story here in a minute. We're going to play a couple of commercials here. And callers, 516-453-9902. 516-453-9902. And we're talking with Verwayne Greenhoe. So give us a call. You got a question? You just want to say hi? Give us a call. And we will be right back.
Mr. President, I've got your back. South Carolina State College was established in 1896 by the state legislature to provide educational opportunities to African Americans. The college is situated on land acquired by the state from the United Methodist Church in 1869. Thomas E. Miller was named the first president. Faced with many challenges and struggles, Miller and his wife, Anna, did an excellent job of moving the college forward and building a foundation for later growth and development. Since that time, 13 presidents and 5 interims have continued to build upon Miller's legacy. Although much is written about the presidents, very little has been written about their spouses who aided them in furthering the university. This book is by 2 of the school's prominent first ladies, Abigail H. Hughini, author of There Must Be Something in the Water, Anthology of the Fourth Generation, Descendants of Green Pond, After the Emancipation, and Mary L. Smalls, Retired Educator Administrator. Now available in case-limited hardcover, softcover, and all digital ebook formats. Mr. President, I've Got Your Back is published by Fresh Ink Group. This important contribution to African American history features 12 dynamic, smart, and innovative First Ladies who demonstrated through their untiring support. Mr. President, I've Got Your Back.
A shocking proposal that changes everything. Desperate to honor his father's dying wish, Laken Martin vows to do whatever it takes to save the family farm. Once the Army discharges him following World War II, Laken returns to Missouri to find his legacy in shambles and in jeopardy. A foreclosure notice from the bank doubles the threat. He appeals to the local banker for more time, a chance to rebuild, plant, and harvest crops, and time to heal far away from the noise of bombs and gunfire. But the banker firmly denies his request. Now what? Then the banker makes an alternative proposition. Marry his unwanted daughter, Sarah Beth, in exchange for a 2-year extension. Out of options, money, and time, Laken agrees to the bargain. Now he has 2 years to make a living off the land while he shares his life with a stranger. Read A Beggar's Bargain, Book 1 in the Bargainer series by best-selling author Jan Sykes. Available worldwide from multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sykes.
All right. Both those books are available now, so get out there and grab a copy. Now, Verwayne, before we went to the commercials, you said you delivered both of your children. Was this a planned idea? Oh, okay, I was gonna say, or was it one of those? It's in the middle of the night. And there's not enough time to get to the hospital.
Nope. It was planned. Judy had a very good doctor that she knew personally, and I told her I would like to be there, and I told her I deliver babies. She says, "How'd you like to deliver your own children?" And that's how we did it. It went very, Judy was 5'10", 5'11". I'm like 5'7", 5'8", so I had to wear those great big stacked heels you see on all those old rock and roll things. But we didn't have a problem at all. The doctor was right behind me, and she was overseeing the whole thing, but she didn't have a problem with it, and Judy didn't have a problem with it, and we trusted each other, and so that's how we did it. And had the daughter in 78, and our son was born in 83. And like I said, he was in the military. He was in the Air Force for 22 years. He just retired.
Oh, okay.
Well, your new edition of I Remember Judy has a markedly different cover and a different look than your first edition. What are we looking at when we look at this new cover? What's the story behind that? What's the playing card motif about? What's going on?
Well, I always told everybody Judy was a queen, and I never deserved the woman that she was, because again, like I said, just a remarkable woman, and she was the queen of my life. So consequently, she was the queen of hearts, and I was, as I was going back through that book, I remembered all these things, and that was a lot harder to do than you might think, because it just reminded me of so many things that had gone on in our lives, all the good things, all the bad things. It was just, I wrote that whole story. Originally, that thing was like 86,000 words. And I wrote that whole thing in 23 days because she wanted me to write a few things down. Well, once I got started, I started writing 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 words a day because I was just driven to get it done. I knew she was sliding away on me, and I wanted to be able to tell her I have it done. So I just wrote that whole thing in just a bit over 3 weeks. I finished it and had it on the market March 30th, I think, 2018, and she left me April 9th. That
wow.
Same year. 10 days later.
You'd say a little over a week later.
Yep. So, but
so
I was
so what are we looking at on this cover? What is it that we're seeing here? Is that Judy's face?
Yes, that was her face from, I'm thinking that picture was taken in late 2017, and you were able to morph her face into that character there, and that was quite a delicate job, and I really liked what you did with it. I was really happy with that. So, but like I said, she was always the queen in my life, and queen of my heart. So I'm a hopeless romantic. So I write a lot of romance books. So
this is sort of your love letter to your late wife.
Yes, it was. Is.
All right.
And but it was a good life. And
well, you had
you
had what a lot of people search for and never really find. So you're one of the fortunate ones.
Twice,
yes, because you've got a second wife, Lisa. So
correct.
There you go.
Yep. And I couldn't find anybody. She worked under me. She worked in the same ER that I did, and I last saw her in 2002, right in there. But she worked with me for 3 years, and then I left that ER. But I hadn't heard anything out of her, and then she saw the obituary, and she emailed me, and things began to go from there. Especially, I think you've read that book that I wrote about her finding myself again, because I was hopelessly lost. I don't do alone very well. You know what I'm saying? I have 4 dogs and a lovely wife, and I have to be with my family. The dogs are my family, but without my wife, I'm nothing. I can be all kinds of things with her behind me, but when I can't do it by myself. I need her. Just a fantastic wife. I know she emails you guys back and forth about goofy stuff, but I don't read her emails. Hers is all locked. Mine's open. You want to read something on my email, come into my computer and it sits right there. Hers is all passwords and all that good stuff. But she emails back and forth with a lot of people. And But she was from right there in Lansing. You people, folks are from.
Yeah, that's where I'm from, Lansing. Steven's not. He's from outside of the Detroit area.
Okay, can't hold that against him. So.
Yeah.
Well, not many people can say they grew up in a town named after a shopping mall.
Yeah.
That's true. I grew up in Westland, and it was named after the shopping mall.
They named after the mall first, then the town.
Yep.
Now, Verwayne, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say.
I was going to say the full title. We have not been saying the full title of this. It's I Remember Judy, a love story. So if you're out there looking for it, I Remember Judy, a love story. And that's got the word love in the title, but you got a title that's got the word hate in it too, right, Verwayne?
What I was just segueing into.
Yep. I hate my mother.
Okay. So we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. We're going to play, we do have a commercial for that. So let's play that, and then come out of there. You tell us why you hate your mother.
He knew from an early age there was something wrong with his mother. By the time he could allow the abused little boy in him to let it go, it was just in time to forgive her. Now he's working to forgive himself. I Hate My Mother is an all-too-true story. At 69, author Verwayne Greenhoe is attempting to justify many things that happened in his life while he can. Many people out there could admit to the same issue. Maybe it was your father, mother, or you change the title as you need. Originally a popular Vella read, this memoir of survival, I Hate My Mother by Verwayne Greenhoe, is now available worldwide in print and ebook editions.
All right, so give us a scoop on this one, Verwayne.
My mother she came from an abusive, her father was horrifically abusive. He used to scare me. He never touched me, but he used to scare me the way he yelled and screamed. But when my mother was 12, she was riding back in the late 40s. She was riding on a tractor. You know how they have that fender? We always used to ride on that. Well, they came to an abrupt stop, threw her forward, but the tractor didn't. Basically, it ran over her pelvis and caused a lot of high intracranial pressure, which caused it just changed her. I always asked my father when I was young and stupid, what drew you to her? I mean, was she always like this? And he told me no, she was not. But she was extremely abusive. I remember being 3 and 4 years old and just getting beat over stupid stuff. And she basically took it out on me and my oldest sister. My brothers, a few of them got something, beat like we did, but she had it in for me in particular. And this story starts out with where I met her again. I basically had just wiped her completely and totally out of my life. But just before she died, I was in a very busy restaurant, and the waitress come up and she says, I have 3 ladies that need a seat. She says, I think you know them. Well, she brought in my 2 aunts who had this frail old lady who was my wife. I didn't recognize her, and she didn't recognize me.
You mean your mother?
Right. I mean,
yeah,
because
you
she
said your
was
wife.
very, very frail.
We want to clear that
I'm
up.
Sorry. Yes, my wife, but neither of my wives were like my mother, trust me. But that's how I opened the book, is where I forgave her. And she died shortly, just a couple months after that, but she didn't know who I was. When I looked at her and told her my name, I saw something in her eyes glimmer. So I knew she knew who I was, but she never said anything to me. And at her service, they were having people stand up, and you should have heard the room go quiet when I stood up, went to the podium, because everybody thought I was going to go crazy. But I explained how I forgave her. I had, told her that I had forgiven her, for all the things that she had done. But I go back through, that's how I start the thing out, is at the end. And then I go back to when I'm 3, 4 years old. And she hit me in the head when I was 10. I still have this scar on my forehead. I was doing all the milking during the summer. I mean, we had 150, 155 milk cows. And you had to know how to run that farm, just bang, 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 and you can get the milking done in about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I came in and I had a cow who had gone out in the pasture and had a calf someplace. I went out and make sure that they were okay. And I came in and they'd already ate. And I asked my mother if I could make a peanut butter sandwich. She grabbed the closest thing that was to her, which happened to be a hammer, and she hit me in the head and the forehead with a hammer.
Wow.
I still have a big scar there, and it's palpable with your fingers. You can palpate it. But I was unconscious. My aunt later told me that she said, I wanted to call the police so bad, she says, but I was afraid of her. Well, I went back through all that, and she wasn't allowed at my wedding because she had told me that she would stand up and tell everybody what a woman of ill repute my wife was going to be, and on and on and on. So, but most of my life I stayed away from her, and but I left home when I was 15 because I knew that if I stayed there any longer, I was going to kill her. I was 15. All those hormones were raging, and I was quick to anger. Things I shouldn't have never done. Things I said that I should have never said. And I take all that back in all this book. But hate is just as powerful as love. If you know what real love is about, then you know what real hate is, because it's the same emotion at polar opposites of each other. And to say that I hated her was just, she'd go out of her way. I was in the band, and we'd have these concerts on winter nights, and I'd get locked out of the school waiting for her, and she'd deliberately not show up until I was nearly dead, and she wouldn't allow me to ride home with anybody else or walk. I had to stay there at the school, and I'd be there an hour after everybody left. And she did that all on purpose. Now, but like I said, she was crazy. I mean, I understand now. I understand. The incident with the tractor made her mentally ill, and she, some of my younger brothers and sisters might go, no, it wasn't that bad. Well, that's because you wasn't the one getting beat. I was, and but that was another story. That one's much shorter. It's only like 40,000 words, but I wrote that in a week, and that was all driven by emotion.
So that's basically kind of like something that was cathartic, that helped you heal from that or move forward.
Exactly.
At least.
And I've let everything go from there. I no longer have any kind of ill feelings towards my mother, but I had to write that to get that out of my system.
Okay. Now, we're going to play a couple more commercials, but before we do have Robert McKenzie on Twitter, and he's got a couple of questions for you, Verwayne.
Okay.
He says, Verwayne, first question is, why do you write? Try to be, quick and concise with these.
Sure.
Because there's I think 3 or 4 of them here. Why do you write?
Okay. As I have on my Facebook and my X account, says I write simply because there is a voice inside me that will not be still.
Okay.
I've been writing since I was 9.
Okay, so the next question then is, what do you consider to be your finest piece of writing?
Emotionally, probably I'm going to say I remember Judy, and closely followed by Finding Myself Again. And that's where I found Lisa.
Okay. And the final question is, what does writing mean to you?
Writing is breathing. If I don't write, I literally get short of breath. That sounds stupid, but I'm telling you, I write every day. I get up an hour before my wife does because I can come in here and I can write. I've always got 3, 4, 5 different stories in various. I'll write in one until I get run out of energy with it, and then I'll change to another one and go back and write until that one. And then I get motivated. I'll go back over here. So to me, writing is just like breathing. I have to breathe. Right. I have to write.
Fantastic. And then he finishes his post here with a James Joyce quote. He wanted to cry quietly, but not for himself. For the words, so beautiful and sad, like music. So we are going to thank you, Robert McKenzie, for chiming in on that. That was
Thank you.
Some timely questions. We're going to do a couple of commercials here, and then we will wrap things up with Verwayne Greenhoe. There's still time to call if somebody out there has a question you want to call. 516-453-9902. We'll be right back.
North Korea will be the biggest challenge to your presidency, warned the outgoing commander-in-chief. But to imprisoned journalist John Jason, surviving each day in the prison camp proves the greatest challenge of his life. Protecting beautiful young prisoner Jisoo has also grown increasingly difficult for this slight man, otherwise powerless, but for his prowess at deceiving their captors. Navy SEAL Andrew Gunner Jackson is tasked by the president himself with gathering intel from the Hermit Kingdom. It's a dangerous gamble, where capture means summary execution, if he's lucky, or death the slow way in a North Korean prison re-education camp. Information is the least of his concerns, though as the president agrees, he can leverage this mission to satisfy a few goals of his own. How far will each man go to fend off the cruel machinations of a ruthless dictator? And will that be enough for either to survive? Operation Counterpunch is ready to read now. Proudly published in hardcover, paperback, and all ebook formats by Fresh Ink Group. By Mark Marlowe. Operation Counterpunch.
The stranger in Puzzletown has everyone talking. When he gets off the bus, his frumpy old suitcase simply says Kevin. He looks normal, but in a town where everybody has knobs, Kevin has no knobs. He's too different. Where can he live? Who would ever want to be his friend? Then a powerful force enters Puzzletown, and their world spins out of control. How will Kevin ever become a true citizen of Puzzletown when he just doesn't fit in? An illustrated chapter book for children. Puzzletown is by retired educator B.A. Johnson, author of Sassy Discovers the AME Church and Sassy Uncovers Peter Allen's Secret. Available in case laminate hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Puzzletown teaches about inclusion in a fun and entertaining way. Published by Fresh Ink Group, Puzzletown has everybody talking.
All right. Now, Verwayne, what is your next project? What are you working on right now?
Like I say, I generally have 5 different projects going.
Well,
the one I'm working on right now.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It's called Do You See the Connection? And this is a political book that's not political. And it's not about politics. It mentions people, but it doesn't come out leaning left, right, straight down the line. It doesn't matter. But this is basically, I worked for Jerry Ford back in the 70s, before he became president. I worked in his political office. And I got exposed to some things, and I was told some things that basically I was told to keep my mouth shut on. At this point in time, I think I can fudge enough around to this stuff where I can make this be real. But there was a reason Kennedy was shot. And then the follow-up between Martin Luther King and Bobby. The mob didn't like what Bobby was doing. And they debated whether do we want to take out Bobby first, or they're going, that'll give Jack a second term. So they took out Jack, and then they took out Bobby. Well, virtually every president after that was tainted by what happened there. It's like I said, it's a make-believe political story that involves some famous names simply because, like I said, I worked with Jerry Ford before he became president, and I was at the White House several times after he became president. So it's a story that I've thought about writing for a long, long, long time. And but I'm going to go back to you and explain how Bobby riled up the mob. I don't know if any of you remember that, but he had the mob right down extremely upset by what he was doing. And they wanted to get rid of Bobby, and they're going, if we kill Bobby, we still got Jack, and that'll give him another 4 years, and we don't want that. So they went after Jack, but then they didn't forget about Bobby. But that tainted virtually every president from there on out. And I've been in the politics since I was very young. Got a new TV, and the only thing that you could really see was the political race between Nixon and Kennedy. And
so you got a title for this one, Verwayne?
It said, "Do you see the connection?"
Do you see the connection? Great. All right. Well, we're starting to run out of time here. Verwayne, do you have any advice for authors, wannabe authors, people out there who are interested in putting their words and thoughts and feelings down?
Just don't think about it anymore. Just do it. Sit there and, like I said, I have 5 different projects going right now. The one I'm working on the most is Do You See the Connection? But if I get bored of this one or get hung up on this one, I move to something else until all of a sudden I'm going, okay, I know where to go from here on this one. But just do it. Don't sit and think about it. Don't think, oh, I wonder if I could. Just do it. And don't write for other people. Write for yourself. I write to make myself happy. If somebody else buys it, that's their problem. But I go through, and I just write because it shuts everything up in my head. That inner voice in me shuts up when I write. So,
all right.
I just have to write.
Yeah, that's a lot of us writers are like that. I mean, there's something in there that's got to come out, and you got to put it on the page. Verwayne, how can people contact you? Where can they find you? Social media, website, email.
On X, it's just at Verwayne Author. And then I am on Facebook under the same Verwayne Greenhoe. I had a website, but there's a short, stupid story to that. I just accidentally I had about 40 different domain names I was selling over on GoDaddy. And when I accidentally sold Big V Publishing, which is where I kept all my books, where you could buy books from me, straight from me there. And the next Sunday, I got a check from GoDaddy that says, your website sold. Here's your $723. And I'm going, what? And I went over there, and my website was gone. I'm going to build another one here shortly. I have my own server, and at one point in time, I had over 900 websites on my set. I had 7 servers And we did live video streaming and all kinds of stuff. Little League games, you name it. But now I just have 2 servers. And,
great. Okay, our guest has been Verwayne Greenhoe, and the book is I Remember Judy, A Love Story, a tribute and a memoir to Verwayne's late wife. It's been a hoot having you on the show, Verwayne.
Yes, always
Thank
a good
you,
time.
gentlemen. I appreciate it. I really appreciate the time.
All right. Now, people, we've been a little weird lately because Blog Talk Radio hasn't been 100% reliable, but we're feeling good. We're feeling confident. We're looking at being back in our normal Wednesday slot next week with guest Marlena Smith. Also, Marlena Smith Burris is the other name she goes by, but her writer name is usually Marlena Smith. She's an old friend of ours, been around for quite a while, and she's got a new book out. So we're going to talk to Marlena. What do we got going after that?
And after that, the following night, we're playing catch up here, as Stephen just explained to you about the BTR problems. The following night, Thursday night, another Thursday night special. This is August 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have Rob and Joan Carter on, and we tried to have them twice last week, and both times there were issues with the website here, but hopefully this is it, and we've got them on next Thursday. So remember that next week, back-to-back nights, Wednesday and Thursday. And after that, we should be back to our regular once-a-week Wednesday evening schedule, and our guest is going to be author Noah Asher. Neither of us knows very much about Noah, so we're looking forward to learning more about him. But then the person after Noah is somebody we do know. Who's that one, Beem? Liz Guffreau. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. We've never spoken to her or heard her speak the last name, but it's Guffreau or Giffreau. She's part of the Story Empire team, and we're going to speak to her for the first time. Now, in between the Carters and Noah Asher, there's a couple weeks there. We've got some guests lined up. They're just not signed on yet. So keep your eyes on the newsletter. That's another reason to get the newsletter, and you can find out. And after that, we got all of September we're currently booking. So good times.
Good times.
And we will see everybody again next week. Again, thank you, Verwayne. We appreciate you taking time out of your day. So
thanks, Verwayne.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yep, take care.
And we will see everybody again next week.
We got another commercial on the way out.
We do.
Right,
enjoy
your
weekend, everybody.
You're listening to The Voice of Indy.
An illustrated fantasy for children, Miratambo Moonsong is a magical and uniquely told story about the clock of Miratambo. Struck by a bolt of lightning at 3:02, the clock of Miratambo has stopped ticking. What will the Zinkle-Quinkles of the town do? The kind Grand Baron who gave the clock to the town many blue moons ago sees what happens and sends a comet to the clock to save it from being silenced forever. When the moon is over Grand Shiloh Rise, will the clock come to life again with music and light and sound? Beautifully illustrated by author and artist Michael Filippello, Miratambo Moonsong is proudly published in case laminate hardcover, glossy softcover, and all ebook formats. Introduce your favorite kids to the Zinkle-Quinkles in Miratambo Moonsong.
Check out FreshInkGroup.com for everything publishing. Meet scores of authors. Discover hundreds of great books, plus audiobooks, podcasts, videos, trailers, free stories, free manuscript evaluations, and more. That's FreshInkGroup.com.
You've been a part of Voice of Indy, a production of Fresh Ink Group. Spread the word, support our guests, then find us at FreshInkGroup.com and be sure to hashtag Fresh Ink Group.